I believe that as a human race, we are equal. But why can it be, right, that the men are just slightly better than the women? Right? No, really.
Just say.
So DBS recently held an event, and it was to celebrate International Women's Day, which just happened lah. So naturally, the event revolved around topics related to women. One of the things that was discussed is, you know how in most companies, especially the bigger companies, they have their board of directors. What they've realized is there's a very heavy underrepresentation of women in these boards. In fact, the stats show that only 21.5% of women are in the top 100 listed companies in Singapore. So compared to 79.
Oh, that's skewed.
And the event, there were 4 of them lah. Minister Shanmugam, the CEO of DBS Piyush Gupta, one of the head of institutional banking, Tan Sushan, and then the moderator, who she does quite a number of things for women empowerment one lah, Stephanie. So what happened during this event was they discussed the idea of a quota. Piyush Gupta said that he wants to have equal amount of representation from guys and girls in the board. So for his own company, he's trying to do things to establish that, and he feels this should be across the board also. What are your thoughts on having a quota for this?
Okay, I feel the idea of having a quota, right, for the board of directors, right, is very stupid. Right?
Piyush Gupta, he called you stupid.
I really feel it's a very stupid idea lah, because shouldn't, right, the board of directors, right, like you earn your position, like your output in the company, right, be the clear reason why you are there. Yeah, like you want representation, but can you represent or not? You know, you can represent the people to face everybody else or not. So if you set a quota for it should be like 50-50, right? You are like, pushing away those other people that actually can do a better job. I feel.
And also I think that if let's say that's the case, right, let's say 50-50, they will think that the whole 50 of the ladies, right, are because of this quota, that's why come to this position.
Like it's a bit discredit them a bit.
Yeah,
right?
you totally discredit them. Then the 21% will feel quite shitty,
I'm not like them.
Okay, I also don't agree that there should be a quota lah. Okay, maybe some other system, I don't know. Because in Singapore, right, okay, we are a meritocratic society where you get rewarded for how good you are lah. And I feel like a quota will just push people to fulfill the quota. Yeah, and those top of directors, they earn it lah. And if it happens to be majority men, then it happens to be majority men lah. I feel like, personally, I don't think that there is anything gender related lah. It just happen to be men.
I would assume so lah. Okay, but I believe from the other side, right, the view is not that meritocracy is a bad idea. I think they hold the same view. Let's give promotions and all based on merits. But one thing that they are trying to identify and try to let everyone else see is maybe because of certain stigma, maybe because of certain stereotypes we have, certain impressions we have of the different genders and stuff, it creates an uneven playing field. It allows workplace culture to favor men ahead of the women. And when that happens, right, it is because of this that is why the men are rising faster and better.
The cycle all the way to the top.
Okay. Okay, so this is the view that they might have lah, or they have lah. But what about this view? I just gonna say, okay? I was gonna say, what about this view that, right, actually men okay, because their view is like men and women are equal, men are getting more opportunity than women, right? I believe that as a human race, we are equal. But why can it be, right, that the men are just slightly better than the women? Right? No, really. Okay, I mean, it can be okay. Let me defend myself. Okay, for example, you take away the physical aspect of it. Like men obviously, like if you compete the same sport as a woman, right? The man is gonna dominate, right? Correct.
Not all men lah.
yeah, it's true though. We went for
You take any average Joe on the street, the distinction is not going to be there. But if let's take the top people. The top people play the highest level, right? The men and women, right, they cannot compete one. Okay, but take away the biological, physical aspect part of it. Let's come into the things that I like, chess, Scrabble. Why all these are like just your mind, or that means what, the women mind is weaker? No, I don't think. But why are they like, why are men succeeding in those sports or like in those areas? And one more thing, like comedy also, like talking, no, comedy, like making jokes. Why are the top comedians in the world, right, men? You know, like why are they men? Are they doing something? Maybe they are just doing something like way better lah, right? I think.
Okay, I think the point about chess is brilliant because that one is if you put a guy against a girl, maybe what's her name, something Polga versus Magnus Carlsen. The top of the guys, top of the girls, you put them together, one always comes out ahead.
Yeah.
There's no reason why he should, but he always does. Comedy, right, it plays into what the feminists would say because the industry is built around allowing men to succeed. So that is why. Even if you have good female comics, they don't stand the same chance.
Okay, but right.
The chess part is...
Okay, but comedy, right, have an immediate feedback loop, you know. Like you make a joke, whether the joke is funny or not funny, right, people will know immediately. If people laugh, right, it's funny. If people don't laugh, it's not funny.
But it's subjective lah, so this one...
I mean, there's funny female comedians as well. I feel like there is.
You're quite funny, is it? Okay, so I don't want to strawman the argument. They are not saying that you need to have this because women are better or worse or whatsoever. That's not what they're saying. What actually Shanmugam and Piyush is saying is this. This will in fact introduce discrimination. They acknowledge that. They are not skipping away on the fact. They understand that this will introduce discrimination, positive discrimination in their term, but maybe it's necessary for the time being. Necessary for maybe a couple of years or so, just so we can break that impression that this is a male-dominated industry or certain positions are more suited for males. That's all they are trying to do. So that once people shatter this impression, what naturally follows is more equal positions held by male and female. But okay, my view, right, and I think it is in line with most of your views, is positive discrimination is not a good practice. And the reason for that is this. I had this idea fleshed out. If let's say now we have 4 quadrants, okay? The first quadrant over here is people who are discriminated against who are actually good. So they are high performing people. People who are discriminated against. Over here we have people who are discriminated against who are not so good. So in this example, it's going to be like males and males who are good, males who are not good. And at the bottom, we have those who are discriminated in favor of. Okay, so we have the females discriminated in favor of who are good, discriminated who are in favor of who are not so good. Okay, when you have positive discrimination, right, the people who are not affected are the males who are not so good and the females who are good. Why I say they are not so affected? Because when things are normal, these guys don't climb to the top anyway. In the positive discrimination situation that they are trying to create, they will still not perform. They still will not get to the top. And the females who are top performing, in the normal world, they will perform also.
They are the 21%.
They are the 21%. And in this scenario, they are still at the top. But I feel the other two camps, the males who are doing very well, and the females who may not do as well, these two components, these two groups of people will be affected. And the reason I say this is because these guys, now instead of you need to fight with all the other guys and all the other very good females, you need to fight with mediocre females. Those who wouldn't meet the mark without this discrimination practice, but now they do. And then over here also, because they're getting pulled up in a sense, even if you don't meet the mark.
Okay, I'll ask you a question. You know the quota thing, right? Like setting quotas for like maybe equal representation of men and women, right? Isn't you giving like privilege to women?
It is. It's absolutely that.
Yeah, if you are giving a privilege to somebody, right, then you are sort of putting them down, no?
Yeah. And I feel that this positive discrimination won't work, right? Because like you talk about the bottom left quadrant of the females, right? Those who don't perform well but is in favor of, okay, discriminated against lah.
Discriminated for. In
For,
favor.
yeah. If there's positive discrimination, right, I feel it will cheapen their promotion if they ever make it to the top.
I believe so also.
And so, let me give an example. Halimah Yacob. Recent, when she got elected, it was time for Singapore to change the race of the president. and there was no competitor back then. She got raised to, she got elected lah. And then what did people say? People say she walked over. The victory was handed to her. Yeah. What? Is she even capable enough to be our president? Yeah, everybody have that doubt.
But they miss the fact that
I tell you, if there is competitor to fight with Halimah Yacob, I'm pretty sure she will have a chance. She will have a high chance to
very
win
high
also.
chance.
Because people don't understand that she also has her own credentials. No, like it's not easy because there is some criteria or eligibility to run for president, and it's really not that simple to have. Yeah, and Halimah Yacob possess those qualities lah. Yeah, so I feel that like she win already, she also not sure. And I feel that this will apply to the same females lah that are dragged out because of the quota.
And then it will also cause like a separation between men and women, right? Or like there will be like a segregation, right? For example, right, you know, in Malaysia, right, there's something called Malay rights, right? Malays, right, they can score a lower score to become like a doctor or
the Bumiputra policy.
Yeah, that policy, right? Like Malays have certain rights more than the Chinese. It caused a big segregation between them. Like a Chinese, right, have to in Malaysia, right, they have to work super hard, right, just to be able to maybe just compete at the same level as the Malays.
Slightly lower performing Malay.
Yeah.
That also brings me to the idea of, if let's say right now 50% male directors, 50% female directors, every one of those male directors is going to think he's better than the female.
Yeah. You know, interesting that you brought out the 4 quadrants, because the last quadrant, the quadrant that you say that the ladies who are not so good, right? I think the main thing should be about the want. Do they want it or not? Because if let's say, there's a reason why they are in that quadrant, because they have maybe other factors. For example, like maybe they want to start a family, or they are more comfortable with their own situation, you know. So I'm comfortable with getting home 4,000, 5,000, you know, I'm not keen in management role. But you take a look at the another quadrant, the ladies who are fighting, top performing. Do they have that kind of concern? Maybe have, because, you know, they want to have a family, but maybe to them, right, maybe I will put it 5 years later. So they are more willing
to sacrifice.
Yes, they are more willing to sacrifice. So this is the ladies who are in this quadrant. But you take a look at the guys who are like good, right?
They are all willing to sacrifice.
They are all willing, and they are 100% or like, you know, 90% willing to go out there. But for the ladies, maybe they have just more concerns lah. And there are many factors that, you know, for all these concerns.
I'm perfectly happy where I am. Thank you.
I think you brought up a very good point about the idea of some women wanting to sacrifice more. And this is actually a trait that generally across the board, women are more likely to have than guys. So guys, right, at least in psychological studies, it shows that we are less agreeable people, we are less self-sacrificing people. So we will put our interests first, and we will fight to get what we want. Women, on the other hand, of course you have women just like that, but the majority of them are the other way. They are a bit more agreeable, and they are a bit more willing to give up things. And that, right, to be honest, that is the reason why a lot of females are not climbing right to the very top, whichever industry is in. Because in order to be right at the top, you need a certain level of trait disagreeableness. This is one trait that really determines how well you operate in the workplace.
Agreeable people get paid less than less agreeable people for the same job. Women are more agreeable than men.
If let's say now you put in the system where you are kind of making women and men come together to form an equal proportion, right? Maybe it is not in the interest of most women. And I say this because, like Jordan Peterson, right, he talks about the idea of how in Scandinavian countries, they have a very egalitarian view on all this. So if you want to pursue whatever roles you want, whatever opportunities you want for certain job positions and all, you are not restricted. You can just go and try for it. People thought that if let's say now we give all of them the same chance, most likely they will fill in 50%, 50%. Most likely lah. At least that's what they hope to see. But what really happened and what turns out in Scandinavia, right, is the differences are more pronounced. The roles that, like for example, let me ask you, what is a female job? A feminine job?
Being a nurse?
Being a nurse, right? What is a masculine job?
Doctor. You all agree, doctor don't agree, I must say.
I would say something like plumber, construction worker.
Okay, so like plumber, for example, right? It just so turns out, right, that in Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and all, right, people who go into these jobs like nurses are females, more lah. People who take roles like plumbers and all are predominantly males.
So it just falls naturally. They have the rights, the freedom, whatever to choose what they want to do. And at the end of the, not at the end of the day, but majority over the years, there's a pattern to it.
Yes, and the pattern seems to go against what the feminists are fighting for. Because they are fighting for, they are not given the same opportunities, they are not given the same chance and freedom to choose. And because of that, we see a clear distinction between the genders. But in areas like this where they have carte blanche, they can just go and do whatever they want and just strive to achieve whatever they want, they realize that a lot of the people who do this and that are very distinct and they are happy doing those things. Which means if you try to skew it the other way around, maybe they may not be as happy. Which is a risk we are taking with this quota idea lah.
I feel instead of like giving a quota, maybe come up with a different solutions, you know.
What's a better solution?
Maybe we can look back to what Singapore did in the 1980s. So you guys remember there was this period where the Malays, they didn't do as well for their studies, right? They didn't want to lower the standards, so they actually established Mendaki. So it's to help, like to provide support system to help them to take the same test as us, you know, take the same exam, so that when they pass, we are all see each other as the same lah. So I feel that for this system, right, for this quota system, right, instead of doing quota, maybe what the organization can do or someone can do is to actually provide a like support system for these 21% ladies, women who really want to fight. So provide them with the skills to train them, or you know, just things that they feel that are traits that can empower all these ladies who really want to fight.
And not just the 21%, but specifically those who are trying to be a part of these 21%. Those who are trying to fight and they want to get more equipped with the skills to take on these positions lah.
Yeah. So for like just now one trait, one of the traits is agreeable, right? So how about like give some like coaching or training to tackle like some of these traits, these issues that
so that naturally you'll be more in tune with being a person of this position.
Enhanced support system.
Like Jordan Peterson have, like, you know, he does coaching, right? He say the women I coach, right, I ask them to, like, you know, fight for what you want, ask for what you want, and what you ask, right, and those women actually, like, you know, they climb the ranks.
and within 5 years he actually helped some of the ladies triple their pay, you know.
Wow,
Triple is a lot, and if you are in that position, triple is a lot.
Then you can earn as much as Joseph already.
High income earner.
Just
Before this video, he bragged to us that he's the highest income earner here.
No,